Meowdy y'all! Big welcome vibes to our friends in the Glimmer Film Fam and newcomers to the channel. We're diving into the awesomeness and the not so awesome side of superhero movies. In fact, there's so much to unpack that I definitely need to start on the basics here today to make sure that I've got everything to get the ball rolling in the right direction. Get ready for some real talk around this spicy topic that's got our heads turning, ears ringing, and talking heads covering it around the clock 24/7. But before we take off into those boundless skies of superherodom, I want to give a mega shout out to all you amazing viewers who make entertainment talk rock. You are all extremely passionate for the media we love, including pop culture and certainly comic book movies. I mean, why else would we all be here if not, right? But to be honest, y'all are the real heroes of this story. I am also very grateful for your support, and I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you. So definitely big shout out to y'all. So why are we even having this discussion though? Wasn't the impact of superhero movies on the film industry obvious enough? I mean, if you don't know, I'm shocked you're here right now again, but let's just say it's huge, massive, wowie. Superhero movies have shaped the audience trends and given studios a mountain of cash, that if that wasn't obvious enough as well. But we're going through the basics just so we can set the foundation here for the discussion. They're gamma rays of turning films into unstoppable blockbusters, and we're gonna get into some of the pros and cons of why that is. Superhero movies have drastically changed the way that we watch movies, and in many people's opinions, it's been a mixed bag, just to put it lightly. These movies are not only a big deal at the box office, but they're also attracting hella new audiences. What? Look at these stories in franchises like Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy, even Black Adam and The Flash. In one form or another, they each rocked the charts in terms of getting butts in the seats, or even just bringing lesser-known comic book characters into the public consciousness. Superhero movies have just been crushing it lately by giving us fresh takes on larger-than-life characters with incredible powers. Amazing filmmakers from different genres have jumped on board, giving their A-game to create unforgettable stories in movies. These films have taken action and visuals to a whole new level, leaving us speechless. Superheroes are like the trailblazers of mind-blowing movie magic. They make these unbelievable characters and make them relatable and breathe new life into them with the timeless hero journey that we've loved for ages. These movies are like cash cows for studios and can make or break careers. In fact, these movies come with massive budgets to deliver stunning visual effects, cinematography, editing, and worldwide distribution. But behind the scenes, it takes a lot of hard work from talented individuals to bring these films to life. They generate enormous revenue at the box office, with Marvel Studios as a prime example of a billion-dollar success. Not only does the studio dominate the box office, but it also sets the bar high for our movie watching experiences. Action-packed scenes with cutting-edge graphics, well-planned shots, and all of that is interconnected with storylines that create an otherworldly spectacle that leaves us exhilarated. But yeah, blah, superhero movies push the limits of what we can see in the movies. Yes, I get it. They have transformed the film industry. They influence the types of movies that are being made, how they're marketed, and how we even watch them. The leaps and bounds in leveling up every production, one after the other, through advancements in visual effects, storytelling, and audience trends, make superhero movies a definitive pillar in shaping modern film production. So basically, I don't have to prove that superhero movies have changed the game. They've attracted diverse audiences, made studios tons of money ad nauseum, and have pushed the boundaries of visual effects, as well as transformed the film industry as a whole. Yada, yada, yada. I can say that a million different ways, 100 million different times. It's incredible to see the power these movies have had in shaping the world of cinema. All right, now that we got that out of the way, it's time to suit up. Obviously, in the last 20 years, superhero movies have taken the film industry by storm, and there's a lot to love about them. Let's dive into the pros, shall we? So these movies are like cinematic roller coasters, a la invoking the great Martin Scorsese's declaration of such, which could be a great thing depending on how you want to look at it. These feats of feature-length films launch us into thrilling, edge-of-our-seat adventures. Without a doubt, they're produced with mind-blowing action, mind-melting twists, and more kaboom, pow, swoosh moments than you can count. When we strap into those sweet reclining plush seats at the theater and look up at that ginormous IMAX screen, and maybe even while wearing some saucy 3D glasses if we're daring enough, these flicks give us the ultimate escape from reality. Whoa, but let's hold our horses, because these movies are more than just about punching bad guys. In fact, they're packed with deep messages and social commentary too. These movies often tackle important topics like identity, equality, and representation even. It's like a vibranium-powered wake-up wake-up call that inspires change. Say what you want about the IP and cinematic portrayal of these characters against a backdrop of social commentary versus fantasy immersion, it's clear that the intention of reaching new diverse audiences with relatable, resonant storytelling is a strong driver for keeping these movies relevant. Relevancy is key to driving upward trending revenue for studios. Stagnancy in past film tropes is a no-no, no matter how you slice it. So here's the deal. As much as these things rule and are necessary in the overall grander trajectory of how media becomes more accessible to new audiences, let's bring some context on the downsides of accessibility too. Not just in the audience reach and storytelling catering for unique comic book and superpowered characters, in addition to the iterations of these pillars in the genre, but the sheer volume of content coming out of Hollywood and international pipelines alone has been announced over the last at least 20 years. The impact on engagement in the cinema, that footprint of superhero movies has just been growing bigger and bigger. These films, shows, compendium media, etc. are all on a non-stop production slate that is skyrocketing into the next foreseeable 10 years at least for some studios. So that said, let's brace ourselves for the cons. We all adore watching these Cape Crusaders battle it out and compel us to crawl out of our nerd dungeons and into the theater, but their domination over our collective consciousness as cinema lovers can feel overwhelming. In fact, these films smash so many box office records, or depending on who you ask, maybe used to, they hog a lot of the industry's resources, like bar none. This includes writers, directors, artists, studio focus, and certainly box office revenue. Like, there's a lot of money being directed at these movies as well as being generated. We'd all love to see every movie that comes out, but there's only so much leisure that the average moviegoer can afford on a tight budget. In fact, that reason alone means that fewer chances for indie flicks or different genres to get their time in the spotlight at the movies. Unless you're like a rad A24 film or a low-budget horror flick, you're probably not going to make much from what it costs for you to even put your movie in the theater, let alone produce and market it. Probably not the coolest thing ever, right? These movies have been a huge trend in the film industry for the past few years, but there's been some recent evidence that their box office performance is starting to decline. MCU character dramas like Black Widow and The Eternals from 2021 released to little fanfare, although in the eye of the storm for the surrounding health crisis of the years before and following it. These are just some of the earlier signs of the larger, wider spread disappointment at the box office to come. Financial feats from the success of Spider-Man No Way Home appear to shift the focus on creating mini-event films, founded on team-ups and introducing lesser-known superpowered pals to ensemble casts. These character lineups are typically backed by some well-known central character or previously established end goal that led to the pivot occurring. Trends seen in later films like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, The Suicide Squad, even animated releases like Super Pets, Teen Titans Go, the movie, and Disney Plus's Marvel's What If. They all relied heavily on cape-driven co-op to carry it. Marketing approaches to these films has been a catch-all combination, including leading into the ironic and oftentimes cringe-worthy trailer moments that are the catalyst to viral retweet and reactions across all social media platforms. But let's face it, as memeable as Morbius was to earn itself a victory lap at the theater, Morbin time had to inevitably end. Now let's talk about The Flash. This long-time troubled production ultimately became a moderately well-received movie upon release this year. However, it is currently the worst-performing superhero movie of all time, against its multi-hundred-million-dollar budget, even compared to the lackluster few years of DC-inspired films that have come out during the international health crisis. The Flash's performance was a huge drop from previous DC movies that came out just before it, like Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, and even Black Adam months earlier. Despite going into bigger casts with wider budgets, character lineups, and costs, not to mention making this content even more of a process to even get out the door, it's starting to show its age at this peak of its popularity, unfortunately. Gotta be real with y'all. As much as you see me gassing up these movies all day long on my social feed, totally get it if most of you muted or even unfollowed me, totally fair. The steady diet of superhero flicks can leave us with a side of been there, done that. I go to the movies alone after avoiding as many spoilers as possible in order to have my own unique experience watching the final product. Thing is though, I don't think I should think about these movies as products. They're supposed to be considered works of art, right? A collection of artisanal efforts from an all-hands approach to visual storytelling, no? But when every movie feels like a spandex-clad formula, it's hard for fresh and wild ideas to swoop in, and it keeps me thinking that these films are just shiny new toys, fresh off a conveyor belt. Don't get me wrong, I will always give a movie the floor to wowie zowie me all day long, but I know my heart as a lifelong admirer of filmmaking and even film theory, believe it or not, I like movies with substance. It leaves me knowing that we need the footprint of films across all forms of cinema, whether it be drama, comedy, crime, action, horror, sci-fi, internationally produced movies, independently produced movies. We need those genres to satiate that thirst that we all have for variety. But yeah, we gotta remember the power of balance. We can't have all tights and no multiplicity. Supporting a range of genres and filmmakers keeps the cinematic universe thriving, ready for new heroes to rise, and they don't all have to wear capes. As we're jumping into the wrap-up, I want to step on my own little soapbox for a sec, if y'all don't mind. I'm going to circle back on our chat on celebrating the focus of inclusion, representation, and diversity of superhero films for a sec. In terms of the diversity seen in the films themselves, and the lack of diversity in the larger revenue footprint at the box office, it's important to note that the former doesn't necessarily correlate or cause the latter, for that matter. This means is that financial success at the box office and the return on investment for superhero films, or any film for that matter, is not simply determined by how much that given film caters to a specific market. Certainly that can lend itself to some of the success of the film, and in many cases the specific market catered to a given film is where the film finds its strongest revenue stream in terms of audiences showing up to watch the movie, period. This may not be seen as a double-edged sword, but it certainly is. Like, full transparency, I will always show up and show out for movies with diverse casts, crew on screen and behind the camera. I also want the stories being told on screen to have a substantial reflection of equity being built into the landscape of representation. It's not a matter of having perfect execution of character arcs that relate to specific groups of movie viewers, but rather making the inclusion of characters with different portrayals and identifying traits, making that into a driving factor in what makes their contribution to the story, more than just looking cool on screen or having quippy dialogue. Attendance is not participation. It's crucial to acknowledge and validate intentional representation and active participation in driving the main plot of a film. Both aspects are equally important. Identity should never be treated as a prop, but rather as a reflection of our world and how we perceive it as individuals. So yeah, future of the film industry, including comic book movies, relies on maintaining these high production standards and ensuring fair treatment of staff throughout the creative process, in addition to offering this equitable treatment of different identities on the screen. But this is just the beginning of an ongoing conversation, and there's still a lot more to explore and discuss outside of this video. And a hard pivot back to the glimmer goodness of this discussion. Here's a massive virtual high five to each of you for joining the conversation. I can't wait to hear what y'all think. I'll defer to your comments since y'all are the experts. I just work here. But for real though, y'all make this channel worth even starting, and I literally cannot thank each and every one of you enough. If you dug this video, be sure to smash the like button and join our Glimmer Gang Film Geek Squad by hitting the subscribe button. Don't forget to shoot off what you think about superhero fatigue in the comments down below. Do you think superhero movies are supercharging the film industry, or are you worried about their long-term impact? Y'all know I want to hear those deep, dark thoughts all up in there. And remember, we're all on this cinematic adventure together, so let's keep the conversation chirping, sewing, queuing up those reaction vids, and everything in between. All right, until next time, stay awesome, and thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye!